Estás escuchando Behind the Entertainment. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Behind the Entertainment. I am Nano, and with me always, DJ E.11, Leo Morales, Jorge Salgado, DJ Bilal, Alberto Guerrero, DJ Gandhi, DJ King Arthur, Pablo Martinez, Nelson Fernandez, DJ X-Man. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Shimmy McHugh. How's it going, Shimmy?
Good. How's it going?
Going pretty well. So the reason we brought you here today is because we know that you're one of the prominent people in the nightlife industry in Puerto Rico. And before we get started with the more current questions and things going on in the industry, we want to get to know you first. So how did you get started in the nightlife industry?
I was bartending, actually. So I started young. When I started, you could still drink at 19 in New York. So I was a promoter in New York. And then I went to college in Boston. And then in Boston, I got a bartending gig at a really cool, like the top club, which was called M80. And that was like the first club that did this whole international crowd, Latinos, Europeans, and basically no Americans. And from there, I met two Puerto Rican girls. They had a Venezuelan roommate. She was leaving for the summer, and they asked me if I wanted to take her room in her place, and I was like, okay. And from that point on, I just met everybody from Puerto Rico, and then they took me. I threw one party in Puerto Rico, and I never left.
So where are you from naturally?
New York. I'm a New Yorker.
All right.
But you have like your family, your mom is from
the Philippines. My mom's from the Philippines. My dad's
Irish
American.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Where was that first party you threw here in over there in Puerto Rico?
It was called the Christmas Extravaganza, and it was at Amadeus at the Hotel San Juan.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the beginnings of what we know now as Brava, right?
Yep, exactly. So I actually worked for that. I worked as a promoter there. I came here as a promoter.
Mm-hmm.
So humble beginnings, and but to give you a good idea of how things have changed. So we made like $8,800 at the door, charging $10 at the door. I don't think we even see those numbers at the door anymore, ever. It's crazy.
And that was like here in Puerto Rico, right? In those parties,
right?
Yeah.
Say what, Gandhi?
That's like 30 years ago, right?
like 20 years, like 20 something years ago.
No, Gandhi's
25.
I think Gandhi's pretty close.
Well, I remember those days because when you used to come to do those parties, I used to work for Music Express, DJ company and effect company. And I remember when I met you in front of the door of Amadeus. So I was gonna put some fireworks that you before those type of parties that you were famous for at the beginning. It was a party with a lot of like things going on, like a schedule, like people in Puerto Rico weren't used to those type of parties. So it was like a very top-notch, nice crowd. Most of the crowd was like college, like people that went out to the United States to study for, in college. And they came back for school, and they came back like summer and Christmas is like the huge parties for the college crowds. So
during COVID, I was cleaning out the college, and I found my closet, and I found the first guest list, and it was like the who's who of Puerto Rico when I saw the last names. It was impressive. I was sending you pictures, right?
Yeah. I have some. Yeah, and you found
But you found CDs. You found the guesses from the first party in Amadeus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then I remember during the pandemic, you were sending me like you found some pictures of you showed me the CDs. You used to do CDs like the One World Collection, and you're like, hey, you want these? I'm gonna throw them out. It's
I
like
found a lot of them.
yeah. So I remember that, you know, like you were the people, like when you came here with promoting and all that, you were like something different and you made the difference. And one of I can say that, you know, I worked that night for, I think I did the pyros, and you were like, I had a CK hat, a Calvin Klein hat, and you're like, hey, nice hat. That's how we met. So I remember I started going every weekend for the parties, like because you used to like contract Music Express for effects. So I used to start going, and I used to go with Carlos Cobian to college. So you were like, you know, testing all these people, but that was after. I think when you got here, it was Abdullah and Orlin, right?
Abdullah and Orlin. Abdullah was the DJ. Orlin got the sponsorship. And then we came for Christmas, or just a little, it was January 4. The club gave us a Monday night, January 4, to make a party. That was the only night they would give us. And nobody was really promoting parties, to be honest. Then we came in March, and then we came in June, and we never left in June. And then Carlos Cobian became DJ Aladdin, and he was our first employee, basically.
Yeah, I remember.
Nice.
So I used to hang out with Carlos and I, Carlos Cobian and I, DJ Aladdin from Ibiza. We went to school together. So when we were DJs, and we knew each other because we were mobile DJs. So he asked me to go with him because he had a, how you call it? They were gonna test him how he spins. What's that word?
Tryout?
A tryout, yeah. He was having a trial, and he was like nervous, and he's like, oh, I have a trial tonight. There's this other guy, Pedro Zambrana, and I think Ivan Robles. They're testing all these people. So would you go with me? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. So I was like, I remember the first tryout of Carlos before becoming like the DJ Aladdin.
Superstar.
Yeah. So that was like, for us and for our age and our group and social hangouts, he was a superstar. Like,
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, he killed it. He killed it.
He killed it.
He had a line, he had a line out the DJ booth with all the girls waiting for him. It was crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, Carlos, you know, obviously he had the looks, whatever, but he also had the personality. He was life of the party. He was very good at keeping people entertained and stuff like that. He had, you know, it was a fun.
Apparently, he still is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
They're
lining up on his Saturday night, whatever DJ gigs now. It's like crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
So would you probably post-pandemic do like a Remember Amadeus with DJ Aladdin, the whole old school crew, and bring back all those days? What do you think?
I will. Jorge knows I'm not big into doing anything in the past. Like,
Yeah.
that has never been my thing. You know, I just like the reunion parties. I do them. If I do them, it's because Astrid or Jorge or whatever. But for me, that's not something that I like to. Like to do.
Shimmy, for me, to change the subject a little bit, I'm a really good fan of yours. I really follow you like everywhere because you're a sample to follow. Because I'm a bartender, I'm a gamer too, and what you did for being a bartender and being an icon in Puerto Rico of who you are, you know, you made a lot of discotheques here,
a nightlife person,
a nightlife, yeah. So for me, I got a question for you. I also in the future, probably next year, I want to open my business like a gaming bar business. And from the first day you open your business to the day to day, what was the worst mistake that you ever made?
I mean, there's so many bad
you make
mistakes.
a lot of mistakes, of course, but what was the worst that you said, Pablo, if you're going to open a business, don't do this?
Don't put JC to sing in your birthday.
Oh, the what?
God.
Don't put JC to sing in your birthday. You almost break your head against the pole.
But that was later.
You can edit this. You can edit.
Pablo's referring to the rookie mistakes.
I can give you one.
Never
the
hired
learning
DJ Gandhi.
Oh,
But
God.
Okay,
No,
let-
I'm actually not talking about rookie mistakes because we all make rookie mistakes. I'm talking about the mistake that changed the way everything was for you before maybe it start going down or whatever. Maybe you make a mistake that changed everything in the path you were going. So that's what
I mean,
don't
I
wanna-
can I can give you two, but one was, you know, I'll say it like this. In the beginning, we were just getting wasted. I was just getting wasted. Like, you know, I'm sure Carlos has like some animosity to me because I didn't have a problem going to the DJ booth
It
and
takes
messing
time.
everything up, you know? So, you know, like, but, yeah, and the truth is, we had a lot of success with the parties, but when we operated the venues as owners, we never made money. So, you know, it was a free for all of people stealing left and right and stuff. And then I think, you know, I'll open up, you know, it was like, and when you're doing this business, it's day and night. Like you're promoting, there was no social media. So I was handing out the flyers myself, you know, bringing the people, calling people, all that stuff to just get things going. And I remember one night I was just exhausted, and it was like this night that I was like, you know what? This is one of those nights that I understand why these guys do drugs, like other owners, because I just didn't want to even go. And Red Bull wasn't invented yet. And I said, you know what? You know, obviously I didn't do any drugs. I just went. I didn't drink. And then I think I stopped drinking for about 10 years, probably, you know, and then until the thing made money. Remember, my shots used to be Diet Coke with nothing in it, or it was like all fake drinks. Like it looked like tequila, but it wasn't tequila, you know, that type of stuff. So it was like, yeah, maybe it wasn't that long, but I just remember starting to drink. I mean, not maybe I had one or two drinks, but not like I was doing before. And Leo experienced some of the wrath of my drunkenness.
Once or twice, maybe once or twice.
But you know what? I don't remember seeing you like drunk like that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I never got wasted. But no, I mean, I used to drink. No, but I think it was after 2009, I started to drink again or try to enjoy it more. But now my body can only handle like once or twice a month drinking or whatever. So, but that was the whole thing. You can't, it's either a business or you're just going to be playing around. But the truth is, if you're the owner and the drunk guy at the party, most likely it's not going to work out.
Yeah. So that's why, well, this is a part, but this is, it has to do with that. That's why I never drank when I worked as a manager there, because it's different. As a DJ, it happened to me as a DJ because we party, you know, like we learn how to party hard with you guys, with the owners, with other DJs. The shots were coming all the time because I remember Abdullah and you guys, you were always like, hey, the DJs have to be partying to make people party.
Part of the
So
party,
that's why,
exactly.
So that's why it was like the best job at the beginning. Any DJ, I was a mobile DJ at the beginning, and go to a club to work as a, you know, like a DJ, and then having all the owners partying with you and bringing you shots. It's like, shit, this is the job. And I was like 17 years old. So I understand why it's not the same thing when you started as a manager than when you're dealing with so much liquor. I didn't want to know about liquor, you know, like, because that's what you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's the typical cliche of don't get high on your own supply. Don't get high on the party, because it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So
that's one. And then the other thing would be, we actually didn't hire an accountant like full time. And maybe we didn't need it, but we didn't even have a good part-time one. I would have taken on an accountant early, just part-time, you know, just that would have clearly helped us with somebody watching closely more the numbers type of thing.
All right.
So, thank you. You were going to ask something?
Yeah. So I actually don't think I know the answer to this question, even though it's talked to me a million times. When you went to college, what you went to study what exactly?
Alcohol.
Alcohol management.
Alcohol management. Yeah, that sounds about right. No, I'm just curious if
No,
uh-huh.
I studied marketing and finance
Okay,
at
so
Northeastern.
when you were studying that you had a vision in mind of what you wanted and you kind of fell into this industry, or was this nightlife stuff something you always were interested in also? Because a lot of people, I mean, it happens to different people in different ways. Sometimes you fall into it, sometimes but I think most of the time people kind of fall into nightlife, and you just
Yeah, so I fell back into it. Yep, that's true. So what happened was I saw that movie Wall Street. I wanted to be Bud Fox. I wanted to be a stockbroker, all that stuff. And then I got a job, and I hated the people I worked around. I hated the philosophy, because I did retail retail trading is like you just sell, and nobody knows if it's going to make money. You know, you could be with the best firm, but you know, nobody knows. And I hated it. And then I worked there for 2 years, and then I said, you know what? Oh, and what happened was, you know, I really enjoyed bartending. So then I started to bartend on the weekends again, because it was like, you know, it's just a great way to socialize and meet people and make money instead of spending money in the clubs.
That's right.
Exactly.
And then I couldn't take it anymore. The stress and the people at the company, I didn't like it. I told my mom I'm quitting. I'm gonna think about it. I bartended, and then I started to promote, and we were successful promoting in Boston. But then we were a little bit too successful, and they were trying to shut us down. They were playing like really dirty. The other promoters. Was that?
The competition, the promoters.
Yeah. So, you know, they would call the police, the fire department, all that stuff.
Wow.
And then came and did that party in Puerto Rico. And then when I got to Puerto Rico, I can honestly say, and my two roommates gave me such a clear picture, you know, of what was going on in the island. They're like, hey, Saturday we go here, Sunday we go here, like Sundays we go to Shannon's, we go back to Shannon's on Wednesday, you know, like how people hang out and where they go, and then why they go. And then that whole why, I saw that I could make it better, that type of thing, you know. And nightclubs back then only played New York house. Like,
yeah. Like
was
tribal, like what we know, like what we used to, well, like tribal, like mucho, you know, the tribal style, that type of cocoleo house that was like.
Yeah. But they're also playing like freestyle still, like a new version of whatever. I just remember saying to myself, and then, you know, you could see that the island wasn't feeling it. That's like a New York thing, and it wasn't an island thing. And then we just came up and we would play anything in the nightclub, from Shakira, Mana to you know, we did open format before it was even cool. We got so much you know, shit, if I can say it, but you know, we got so much shit from other DJs because we were doing open format. We didn't necessarily mix. We didn't even stay, you know, we would be at, you know, this RPMs and just completely go to like a different level in a cut, you know, and we still do it. But then everyone was calling us Machete or DJs.
Yeah, I remember going with Carlos Cobian to buy records in Plaza Las Americas, and when we always went together, and that was like when we get in, it was like the gossip. Everybody would like shut, like, and then I learned that they always, when, you know, we were the hot place in Ibiza in those we were starting, and they were making fun of how we DJ, or especially how Carlos DJ, because in the 80s and the club era, the club here in the house was like, it was like a strong movement, like how, and people are used to, like, you know, like go to a club to dance and to hear these long mixes of perfect mixed beats, mixes of house. And then we do whatever we want, hacemos lo que nos da la gana, like the Bad Bunny record. We do whatever, when, you know, what we want, whatever we feel, and we did it.
Yeah.
And that's what made it so fun and free, and people loved it, you know. And then and immediately, like, it wasn't, we weren't so focused on the dancing. We wanted to get you to sing. That was like another trick that we had. It's like, if we can get you to sing and then turn down the music and hear you sing, it felt like a concert almost.
I remember, to make that effect, Abdullah, rest in peace, one of your ex-partners, you know, the one that brought this is it's a podcast, so we had to tell like Abdullah this and that because people imagine it also. So I remember Abdullah had he put a mic in the center of the dance floor with a cable, a mic, un micrófono, and he recorded the party, and he did a mix in the recording he did in the mix, whatever, he put that open mic in the center of the dance floor, and you could hear or feel in the mix in the CDs or whatever he brought.
Like I've said, yeah.
It was live. It was live, and you could hear people screaming, people dancing, and you heard that recordings, and you thought you were in the club.
Yeah,
like
heard the Maná en Vivo CDs that you heard the people in the background. So it had that type of
chanting
vibe.
That's exactly it.
It makes more energy.
It was like a very good vibe from the beginning.
So Shimmy, you started as a promoter in Amadeus, and then you became owner of Amadeus?
That's no. So we had they wouldn't give us, they gave us every Friday for that summer, but then they wouldn't give us more nights. And then another club called Skydance in Old San Juan gave us all 3 nights, and we basically like promoted there. But then, you know, it was kind of owned by, I think it was a drug dealer or whatever. It was just, we couldn't, you know, it was one of these things, you know, like you promote it, they think you own it, they think you can do something about the bad service, that you can do something about, you know, people waiting online, the air conditioning and all that stuff. And then everywhere where we did events, nobody could get a drink. We could warn the owners and say, you need more bartenders, you need to carry more of this, whatever. They wouldn't listen. Then everybody gets there and they're sweating, they can't get a drink, all that stuff. And then it leaves the customers like so upset. So we said, we're gonna have to leave. And then La Concha, the club there was empty. And we had done maybe Noche San Juan parties and stuff there. And they said, listen, this nightclub has a sound system. You can decorate it. The hotels are going to close. It's owned by the government. We'll give you a 90-day notice. So no deposit, no nothing. And you own it. And the rent was $7,000, I think, including electricity. And that was the first time we owned our own nightclub. And it was like a walk-in deal. And then they didn't close that club till 3 years later.
What was the name of it?
Ibiza.
Oh, that was Ibiza. Okay.
Ibiza.
Yeah.
And then
it used to call, it was Mykonos before, and then it turned into Ibiza.
Yeah.
So Chip,
and then,
how many years after that Red came in?
So about a year and a half later, the convention center side, they weren't booking any more conventions because they were going to close the hotel. So that was empty. And then we said, okay, we'll take this, you know, we were watching the political environment that we knew they would stay open for another year. So we took the convention center and turned that into a huge club, huge, like 5 rooms. Nobody had ever seen it before. It's probably one of the most impressive nightclubs at the time.
Red was really something. Honestly, it was. I think it was really ambitious, and it was really big, and the dance floor area was very cool. But then you also had the cigar bar, and you had the pool tables, and you had it was such an.
You had like 25 square feet, right? 25,000 square feet.
It was huge.
I don't remember exactly, but so it was called Red because it was the fall of communism. We were like toasting the communism. The themes, every room was after a communist city, so or country. So there was the China room, the Moscow room, the Cuban cigar room, some other stuff, and every room had a theme, and people could just go to each room and you know, chill and meet people. And we were doing over 2,000 people or more a night
That
over
was
there.
a huge place. I remember those huge lines in the plazoleta of the old convention center. You have two doors, the VIP in one side, there was a huge line, and the other one was like 3 times the line, the size.
So Jorge or Shimmy, what was the main difference between Ibiza and Red, like in concept wise?
So I mean, Ibiza was the theme about Ibiza was, it was kind of like that bar that turned into a nightclub. It was a transition bar, cozy. You knew your bartender, you knew your drink, all that stuff. And then Red was more of a trip of like taking you somewhere else, you know. And it was, each room had a theme. I think some rooms had different music, and you know.
I remember there was in Red, there was a bar at the back part that they had. That's where Flavio and Jorge Ramos started doing parties, and we had like electronic music, like EDM. Well, it was more. They had like their crowd. You had different crowds hanging in the same place.
Because
that's how huge it was.
It was enormous. The place was enormous. It was.
Did any of you guys play there?
Yeah.
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 That's where Lee and Leo became a DJ.
That's correct.
He used to be my lineman.
Oh man,
that's I played high school parties with my first parties there.
I used to play with you know who, Ariel Aviles used to DJ with me on Fridays there.
Well, I was for the high school parties there in Red for Ariel. And
you were what, Gandhi?
Ariel, yeah,
I was the high school promoter.
Okay.
When Red, República, Our People Society, all those.
So yeah, República, Ariel, and I think his friend Rafi, they had those parties back there.
Sí, Rafi
Irizarry.
Yeah.
And I ended up playing a couple of those parties. I was the light guy sometimes also, and that was like the first time I actually got to DJ for real. And it was an amazing venue and a huge, and it's kind of scary, to be honest with you, intimidating place.
Who would get the billing for those parties was always Bilal. But
you know what, Jimmy? We were talking about this like a few months ago, I think, about how Leo, how he became like a club DJ. And I remember I used to do it on purpose. He used to practice he used to come in during the day. We used to buy records and go and do maintenance for the equipment, whatever. So he used to practice a lot. So I knew he had it already. So every time I wanted to go to the bathroom, I said like, hey, Leo, mira, I left. Remember, in those times, we mixed with records.
Vinyl,
and the turntables were on top of rubbers, like rubber bands. And it was, we were on top, the DJ booth was on top of like one of the huge bass of the club. So it was a challenge to DJ there and to mix, because you have to be used to that. Like, and it's like with your fingers, because of the rubbers, you know, it would be a mess if you whatever you do, you would do like the mess, like everybody would notice. So I remember going to the bathroom and staying like watching Leo from the bathroom, and then I didn't come back.
Yeah, because so the trick was, here's the thing. I used to have like 2 or 3 go-to records. The records I knew how to mix, because there was a few vinyl. So I had like 3 or 4 of my favorite ones, and I'd go and I'd play the same thing. And then after a while, him and Nelson did this to me too. They would leave and not come back, and I'd run out of music, and I have to figure out to play other stuff. And then little by little, you start getting, you know, the confidence to say, you know what, I know what I'm doing. I can do this.
But
the first few times, I was shitting bricks. The first few times, I was like, God damn it. These people, because the club is packed, everybody's staring at the DJ, and I'm not really the DJ yet. And I'm like, holy shit.
They're throwing you to the wolves.
Yes, they did. And but it worked. It worked. I swam. I was able to swim.
To some degree,
did you ever DJ?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played a little.
Killed.
Yeah. Okay.
You killed.
Of course. Yeah.
Killed it. And I had my special light program on and off.
At least when you would play, you would mix it up. Some of the other owners used to have the same. They used to mix it up. Used to play different things. Some of the other owners used to come out, always play the same goddamn song. But I'm not going to get into that.
Wait, I heard Nelson cracking a laugh. What was that about?
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Bad joke.
So to some degree, Shimmy is responsible for Leo's beginnings as a
No,
DJ.
true. Oh wait, so here's an interesting story. I remember I worked at Ibiza as a light guy for about, well, I guess Red opened a
1997.
year. No, but it was like when I started working there, it was Red. It just started opening. Had just opened. I was working there for like 6-7 months at least, and I'd seen Jimmy a million times. And every time I would go to pick up my checks, he'd walk by me. He's like, "Can I help you? What are you looking for?" Like, what do you do? I'm like, "Jimmy, I work for you." Like, he's like, "Oh, he did this to me all the time." He couldn't remember who the hell I was for some reason. He was
Because you didn't have a CK hat.
That's that might have been what it was.
But don't feel special. I have worse stories than that.
I'm sure you do.
Vanessa,
No, I'm sure you do.
the accountant, Vanessa, our accountant that I saw every day during the day for like 2 years. We were in Area 51. She comes walking down the stairs. I'm like, "Oh, hello, who are you?" She's like, "I work for you. I'm your accountant." I was like, "Oh, God."
Oh God.
So,
Yeah.
Leo?
No, go ahead.
So you started in Amadeus, then when did Ibiza and Red. So when was it that Amadeus made the change to Babylon?
All right, no, you said he started in Ibiza, then he did Red,
Okay.
and then it was Babylon.
So how?
Well, actually, Area 51 in the middle, right?
Well, I was after Babylon had already started.
Well, después.
It's a complicated mix. It has had so many venues. Yeah.
They mix around there too.
Yeah, so there's St. Mix, Area 51, but so Babylon/Brava. So what happened was when we left Amadeus, I think it was like La Mega or some promoter got in the business, but started to advertise by radio. And it brought a lot of people, but also they didn't control the crowd. And they had some like really huge, scary, either fights or almost like shootings or something in the hotel.
Oh.
And it was like a few weeks in a row. And I think, I think the hotel, the GM at the time or whatever.
They closed it, right?
Yeah, they basically said, "Hey, we're going to buy you out. We just don't want a nightclub here," And it was like the two owners there, very famous guys. Jorge, it was a great designer, the designer that did the hotel, El Conquistador.
Fernando Rosselló.
Rosselló, right?
Yeah, he did Rosselló. He did El San Juan Hotel, El Conquistador, Vanderbilt, La Concha. He's an icon, So this was just a sideline business for him. And then he had a partner, Fernando. They left it, but I always admire them because I always thank them because they were really good about how they treated me and let me have that opportunity. So the hotel, when they left, the hotel was like, who was that guy that, or that group that like packed it with the crowd that we want? And then they came, looked for us, and here's a good story. So Pablo, I'll tell you this, because we're kind of going through this moment right now if you want to open your own place. So, landlords don't want empty places. If you have an empty place, it costs you money. You don't get your rent, you don't get anything, whatever. And especially at hotels, it just looks bad to walk by an empty space. So they said, listen, if you can have this place for 6 months, if you clean up the crowd, you can buy it and we'll give you a long-term contract. So I was like, yeah, we'll clean it up. We'll kick ass or whatever. So we did. And then on the 6th month, they were like, okay, you want to buy it? And I was just like with the empty box. It's like, I ain't got no money. No one's going to lend me money. Nobody will lend a nightclub money or whatever. But you want basically like $250,000 at the time, back then or whatever. We're paying $7,000 rent. I said, listen, we'll pay you 12,000. You basically finance it, and it's a win-win for both. And you have us in your club, and you're getting your key money over time. And they were like, deal. So that's how we got it. We painted it, and then it became Babylon.
I think the timing, Jimmy, the timing was pretty good too, right? Because Babylon started up right when we were gonna have to close Ibiza and Red, basically, right?
So we kind of knew.
Yeah.
They were already warning us. We kind of knew the shutdown was happening, and then all of a sudden this fell into our hands. You know, so it was good.
Yeah. I remember for a little while there was all three venues running at the same time for like a short run, but it was a couple of months of that, of all three of them at the same time.
And that was like crazy.
It was a crazy time. It was very hectic.
Trying to do 3 clubs at the same time. It was just crazy. Too much.
I remember.
Yeah.
That's where Gandhi's beginnings were, right? Right at Babylon, as a resident.
A little after.
Area 51, I think, right?
No. Well, you started on Fridays when I used to do the Fridays.
I used to do the divisions for Empire in Area 51.
Okay.
That was.
But Gandhi used to work pro bono. He never cashed, the checks. He never cashed them. I remember paying in those days. You could pay cash in those days. The thing is that I remember like I had all his payments in the ¿cómo se llama?
In the safety box.
In the safety box. He's like, he came like every 2 months. I have money there, right?
So Pablo, to finish, if you go up and down Luisa Street, there's so many people that went out of business. You could go to that landlord basically and say, listen, you have a guy renting tomorrow. Here's what I'm going to do, something cool, this, that, whatever, and you can get a place pretty cheap without having to build it out. And you can be just creative of how you redecorate it. But when one business leaves, they all, in your contract, you can't take the bar, you can't take a lot of the stuff,
So you think it's a good idea to start like looking for places right now with the coronavirus on?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, you start looking now, and then obviously you plan it to not pay rent, or like you make a deal with the landlord and you say, listen, I'm gonna get in on May, and then give me like 3 months to redecorate, get my licenses, all that other stuff, and before you know it, hopefully everybody's vaccinated and we're all back in business, type of thing, But then so many people are going to go out of business. It's a shame what's happening. This whole closure thing is just ridiculous, And I feel blessed because obviously I'm in a position to start all over again. But all these guys that are bleeding, that don't have all the same amount of money as me, it's just painful, man. They're just holding on to their life there, And I can just remember that being me when we had a hurricane and 3 weeks, closing for 3 weeks was so painful. How do these guys survive a whole year? It's sad. I can get so mad about what's happening right now.
And not only now, it's been for the past since 2017 from Maria to the present, right? From Hurricane Maria.
Yeah. So
for a year.
A lot of people, it's been a 4-year struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Me too. Also, you have to count the earthquakes and stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but it's all part of it. The last couple of years have been nonstop.
The past 4 years has been too much of a steep roller coaster, I would say. So before we get how you've been able to manage those changes in the past 4 or 5 years. So you had Babylon, and then I mean, if you can tell us why did Babylon change to Brava?
It's a funny story. It wasn't because Babylon wasn't making money that we switched to Brava. But we had renovated it to try to keep it cool. And every renovation, literally costs between $100,000 or $200,000, maybe $250,000. make it look different, new furniture, new lights, all that other stuff. And then when you kept the same name, a lot of people would walk in and say, I don't see anything different. You just changed the color or something like that. And it was like, man, we just spent all this money not noticing it. Wow. And then it's painful to change it because the tourists will know that name, before they even get here, like Babylon.
I'm sorry to laugh, but I remember you. I worked with Shimmy like for 14 years. So I was by, I think 3 or 2 remodelings, right? Or Brava, or from Babylon from Amadeus to Babylon to Brava. And in Babylon, you had like, you did some remake, like, you did some remodeling, and I remember we put in the walls, like the circles, but that was like MDF. It was to make it soundproof, the club, for the second remodeling, right? And I remember when we did the opening that you came up to me like furious because you said, nobody has noticed all the money that I put into this club. Nobody said anything about all that we changed in there.
Yeah. Wow. That was painful.
So that's why you thought about changing everything and put in the name Brava, right?
Well, so this is what convinced me. So so you guys know Wilmer Valderrama?
Yeah.
So me and him were at the Hilton at one of Empire's party at the Hilton. And those things always had to end at like 1 or 2 in the morning. And then and Wilmer wanted to hear hip hop, and he's just like, hey, let's go to Babylon, right? And then the girls that were with, they didn't want to go. They're just like, Babylon, Babylon, no, Babylon, no, nobody goes to Babylon anymore, or whatever like that, something like that, in front of Wilmer. And she didn't know I was the owner. And I was sitting there like, oh man. So, and he's like, what? And then, but when we got there, it was off the chain. He loved it because we were playing hip hop before anybody would dare play hip hop in Puerto Rico. And I'll give you a funny story about that too. But I decided that day I was going to change the name.
All right.
Yeah.
So I imagine that a few times you ran into people that talk shit about one of your venues, and you're like, okay. You're like,
yeah. I mean, there's always somebody that's going to have a bad experience, but
love and hate.
I think it's important to leave it open and hear exactly what they say. There's going to be some that are haters, and there's some people that are kind of right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I've always listened to everybody, and then I have to like figure out, decipher what I'm going to listen to, or how I'm going to make that person, change their mind about the place and come back. But a lot of the people, are just, they don't go anymore because they're too old. Like, so I don't focus on that 25 or 28-year-old that doesn't go anymore. And then, when you ask them where are you going now, they'll say restaurants or, Placita here and there. And that's just not my market. Mm-hmm. If you want a nightclub, a high-end nightclub, you're going. But I'll listen to that person that's in that range of what's cool or not. So, I don't live and die by my friends or whatever. I go after that new, the core who's hanging out in clubs now, that type of thing.
The college kids and the young professionals, basically.
Yeah. And there's people that just want to dance every weekend or not, and some people that just get into the whole restaurant, bar, I don't want to dress up scene, But I think, Jorge and Leo could attest to this. I was pushing for hip hop, and reggaeton before anybody else. And the hotels and stuff like that are actually like not wanting us to play any of that, and then, hip hop became mainstream. So we could do hip hop, but we could not do any reggaeton. Like, it was like, yeah, you remember it was like painful. The sponsors didn't want it. Nobody wanted it. And then in the end, the fight I had with the hotel and the sponsors basically, or the sponsors, I said, anyway, I'm not going to listen to them at the club. That's when we did the special events, we kind of had to listen to them for some, but it was kind of like this. if you wanted to do your quinceañera or your after prom party or whatever at Brava, it costs you a lot of money. So it was like the private schools or a rich quinceañera girl or whatever. And when they did their parties, what did they play all night long? Reggaeton, perreo, reggaeton all night long. So then that person at 17 or 15, they get to Brava at 18 years old, they're not going to hear what they want to hear. It's like ridiculous. 1 year later, we're not going to play what they want to hear. And I went to the hotel. I'm like, if I can't play reggaeton here, then don't play reggaeton at the prom. They're bringing the artists to the prom. So, you know, we had in the end, we just started playing it a lot more and stuff like that. And then, you know, I think it now is the biggest music genre in the world. And, you know, I feel proud of us, or at least me, pushing you guys to play it.
Well, to be fair, and this is interesting point. You mentioned the hip hop and the reggaeton. I'll get to the hip hop in a second. The reggaeton thing, in the early stages of when reggaeton started blowing up, the problem that I had as a DJ was that it wasn't always like, right now you play reggaeton to really high class and really good crowds of people. Before, there was a lot of times, if you played too much reggaeton, you'd get a lot of those drug dealers you talked about, or like a lot of
You
people
were protecting
who would come
the
to the
crowd.
club.
We were protecting the crowd.
We would get a certain level of, and we had these issues a few times at the club, where we'd get crowds that would show up that were not necessarily the crowd we wanted, and that's all.
Say
they
it
wanted
like
to
it
hear.
is. Say cacos.
You know, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't know those people personally. I'm just saying they weren't the crowd we were looking for necessarily. And the vibe you would feel it sometimes. Back in the day, it was different. You would feel a certain more aggressive vibe, a certain more like.
Oh, and it was an image also. It was also about, it was an aura about, you could play reggaeton, but you can't get away with it.
You wanted to
the whole
portray
night.
that top club, like to a certain degree, elegant image.
Well, so yeah, I mean, that's the argument that everybody was saying. It's kind of like your Brava. Why are you going to play that music? It's not like classy, it's not elegant or whatever. But then neither is Windows to the Walls till the sweat drops down my balls. I mean, like,
No, but again, yeah, it's true. That's true. The thing is, and I know in the States it happens too. That if a club just plays straight hip hop all night, they'll get certain crowds also that not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? That's why.
yeah, no, I mean, we balanced it out. In the end, you know, I pushed
Exactly,
you guys,
yeah.
and I let
and
you
we pushed
do.
back a little, and we kind of found a balance. We found a balance.
Yeah,
I remember, by the way, that the hip hop thing is interesting. Is that I think I remember playing the first time I ever played like a full night of just hip hop was a party you used to throw at Salgado back in the day. You gave me like, Leo, I think it was like a Thursday night or something. Leo, I'm gonna throw these hip hop parties. I want you to play.
That was owned by Julian Hill.
And
That was Julian Hill's like bar.
And I would play like R&B and hip hop those nights, and that was all I could play. And that was good for me because I learned to play a lot of R&B and hip hop and dancehall, which really served me really well at Brava years later. You know what I mean? When it started blowing up for real. So you were ahead of the curve on that one for sure.
You know, the thing was, I was always on a boat on the weekends, and back then on the boats, that's all we were playing. So I kind of knew that, you know, it wasn't necessarily, the music wasn't dictating the crowd. It was basically, you know, like we had to, you know, do a better job of, you know, letting in who we want to let in, keeping out who we want to keep out.
Yeah.
So out of all these guys, which one was the one who pushed back the most as far as music in the club?
Okay, so if I had to rate between Gandhi, Leo, and Jorge, each had their own style of pushing back. Gandhi would just talk your ass off, like just talk, and say, but if we did this, what this could happen? Like just a whole analysis that you just got fed up and walked away.
The famous Gandhi, but what if?
Exactly. And then Leo would push back, you know, and he would give a good argument to whatever, and then
that's what I do, man.
I don't know. I think I would buy you shots or whatever. I would just play this song or whatever. I don't know, and get it. And then Jorge had his technique. What was your technique, Jorge?
What do you mean about pushing back? What do you mean?
So if Shimmy tells you to
disagree-
play a song and then you kind of disagree, how would you respond to it? How would you how would you push your weight?
Leo's technique was always like, I'm going up right now and I'm about to like switch into like whatever. Like it's like
transition. I'm doing a transition. I'm doing a
I'm gonna
transition.
transition.
I'm getting to that.
I was
getting
always just shit. I'm transitioning. 45 minutes later, where the fuck's the transition?
Yeah, maybe I remember the only thing about music like that, it was that since I was a DJ also from the beginning there, I used to be the general manager of the club. I always got into the DJ booth like in the peak time of the night, and I would do my set, like a very powerful like party set, or it depends. It would be like party music like in Ibiza, like that, but with the new music, or I would do like a house, very tribal, like very, very pumped up set, like for maybe half an hour. And then
here's a good question. Leo, how did you feel when Jorge went at the peak of the night? Sorry. Cutting out.
Wait, Nano, do I have to?
Leo, I'm curious. How did you feel when Jorge would come in the peak of the night, when you got the crowd going, and then take over the turntables?
He used to feel like a very opening DJ.
So I'll be honest. I sometimes I wasn't happy about it. Other times, the thing is, I have a lot of respect for Jorge as a DJ, and I learned a lot from him. But you know, as everything, the student sometimes becomes the master. And so after a certain point, I was like, Jorge, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. No, Jorge would come sometimes, and you know, he usually.
So in your case, that wasn't the case, or was
it? Was 100% the case. It was not the case in your case. Anybody was anybody, because you never got better than anybody here. I'm just saying.
Wow.
But that's
fair argument. Fair argument.
So anyway, no, but yeah, I wasn't always thrilled with Jorge. Jorge once in a while, I'd be like, I have it going my certain way. He comes in and does his own thing. I'm like, God damn it.
And you know what? Most of the times that I went in was with Shimmy walked to me and said like, hey, do your power set.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But at the end of the day,
and sometimes you agree, sometimes you were
not
like,
true.
Yeah, sometimes you were.
And Jorge,
at the end of the day, it's what's it called? It's still fun because again, we're still hanging out, and
I can say it 15 years after. I can say it. That's no big deal about it. You
the
know,
statute of limitations is up by now.
When Shimmy said like, "Hey, go in there and do your thing."
Yeah.
So Shimmy, in the same line, I'm gonna mention you a couple of all employees, and I want you to tell me something memorable about them. All right. So I'm gonna start with Astrid Martinez.
I mean, that woman's indispensable. That's like the Energizer Bunny. She can remember a name, a person, what they like, whatever. She can talk to. I mean, that woman was amazing. Like, you know.
So how about Lidio?
Lidio?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to tell you, like, I wouldn't be anywhere where I am now if it wasn't for Lidio and Astrid. Like they didn't necessarily get along all the time, but they both did their job well and served a purpose. And like, hats off to Astrid. Like she just moved. The amount of people she could move is insane. Right. And then Lidio keeping us safe for 24 years. You gotta. He just knows what he's doing. That guy will always take the first punch if that punch even connects. Like, and then he wouldn't even get mad or anything. He just like,
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. And then in 2 seconds, the guy is like
a pretzel.
In 2 seconds, Polaco comes and throws him.
Submission.
How about Leah?
Oh, Leah, geez. Leah was always a social bunny too. She did her thing. But I always remember Leah of like sweetest girl, but then there's always something wrong. How's it going, Leah? Oh, my back hurts.
How about Ricky?
Ricky,
Ooh.
Ricky, you know, he's a presence, you know, like that guy, you know, he could make, you know, that's the first face you see at the door. So if he's in a great mood, everybody was in a great mood. If he wasn't in a great mood, you know, you could just feel it when everybody got into the club, you know?
And last but not least, Orlin Goble.
Well, and what do I remember about Orlin?
No, like Orly Abdul.
Memorable.
Remember a moment that with Orlin Goble, like
I mean, I just remember Orlin's go-to song.
Which we alluded to earlier.
Little respect.
Yeah.
You know, I call him DJ Little Respect now, just for
Yeah.
DJ Little Respect.
You could be anywhere in the club, and all of a sudden that song goes on. You're like, is that Orlin in the?
Orly is there. And you know what? There's another song that I used to play a lot. Celebration, was it?
No, I don't think so.
There was another song that I used to like. Yeah, he used to play. Nelson, you don't remember? Not a Cool and Digan Celebration?
I don't remember. I just remember that
He had like two songs, like Little Respect and Celebration or something like that, and that's it.
It's funny because I only remember Little Respect, honestly, and he played it so often that I would. He was so. The funny thing is, so Chimmy's saying about when Jorge would come to the booth, but I knew when Orlin worked with us, when he would be at the club, and he would come to the booth, I'd be like, God damn it, he's gonna play Little Respect, isn't he? Like it would never fail. It was like, God damn, he's gonna play this. It was always the same thing, and that I actually did dread because after a while it's like enough already. You know what I mean?
Well, he takes it as a joke now.
No, of course.
But there was something. I'll tell you something different. Also, you know, Orlin's a very religious person. So whenever we opened a new venue, he would have the priest, I guess, come and baptize it, or you know, there's a word for it when you do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You blessing space or something.
yeah, baptize it, yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember. I think it was my mom.
Santificarlo.
You know, seeing that, and it's like, is there like an evil spirit in there? Like, no.
Well, there won't be afterwards, right? That's the whole point, I guess.
So now that how about tell me about Leo?
Jeez. I mean,
Something about Leo.
we only have a few more minutes left, Pablo. But yeah. Tell us about.
No, Leo, I'll forever be jealous. I'll forever be jealous because he's got the Mariah Carey picture. Like she went to him for all her problems or whatever, and you know, I wasn't at the club I didn't stay at the club that long because I don't know if you know the story. She was like chasing Derek Jeter, but Jeter was like running. Yeah, he was always hanging out at Babylon at the time, and she came looking for him in the club. And then he found out, so he went to our other party. And at that other party, I think Sofia Vergara was there, right?
Wow.
That was
it was like
in a Friday in Joy, San Juan.
Yes, exactly.
You know what? I know I can finish part of the story. You called me. We had the club was like that night. I think it was on a Friday, and you called me and told me like, hey. Mariah Carey.
Man, I think you cut out. I didn't get to hear it.
Hello.
Yeah, again.
Yeah,
keep going.
Gotcha.
I remember that you called me and said like, hey, Mariah Carey's, the guy, I had all these connections with Michael Berrios, the transportation guy, and we were in the hotel, everybody knew me. So it was like, hey, I have Mariah Carey and they're coming over. So I think I called you. And you said that was a rule from Babylon at the beginning. Like if there's an artist that comes here, you call me. Like if there's a wedding and they're all like in tuxedos, they're going for free. You know, we had like this rules or whatever. So I remember calling Shimmy like, hey, the people from transportation told me that Mariah Carey is coming over to the club, and I called you. I remember calling you. And you told me, hey, we're in Old San Juan.
What year was this?
In the party Joy, I think Empire had
Neons?
a party in Neons. And I said like, oh, bring her over here. And I'm like, So what should I do? And you say like, how many people are in the club? And I'm like, it's empty. And you're like, close the club and bring her over. So I'm like, really? Okay. So it was like 1 a.m. That was exactly more or less the time that the party in Old San Juan got very good. So I closed the club and I told the guy, hey, let's meet in Old San Juan. I remember going in front, like he couldn't put the limousine, like put it into to go into front of the club of Neon. We finally got there. And I managed everything with, I think I called Carlos Cobian or I called you, and we entered her through the service door of the club in that night.
Yeah.
That was like, you could, and when you went in, there was like that, like a circle VIP right there, and you were hanging out with Mariah Carey. When we came straight to that area.
But this is 99 or 2000.
That's like 99.
Yeah. I know. This question to you, Shimmy. I see that you've been a lot of years with Jorge. So tell me, what was your most memorable moment with Jorge?
Así.
Like, you have to have one because it's 15 years working together. So probably you have that moment that you said.
No, probably more.
But they have to have one that you said, this is the moment.
I don't know. Jorge's pretty like even level. He never drank too much, never whatever. I don't really have like one particular story. I don't know. That's a tough one, actually.
For sure, there's a few. If you actually sit back and think, there's probably.
We had, we party a lot and all that, but it was like, like low key like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember. I mean, two significant things was we had one manager. I'm not going to name him, but the minute that Jorge started, we made $200,000 more a year, like net. So you can get an idea of how much that manager was taking from us before Jorge started.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I do too.
So Shimmy, I want to pivot a second here.
Oh, really?
Because we DJs, we can relate to this. At some point in you as a club owner or something, did you stop having fun, or has the whole ride been fun for you?
No, I stopped having fun.
It became too much of a business.
Yeah, I mean, it as soon as it. I mean, you have to manage everything. I'm sure all you guys are going through this. You have to manage your own expectations. Any job is going to get boring. Any job is going to get tedious. You're in the club all the time and stuff like that. So you just have to say, like, I'd rather be doing this than my old job. That type of stuff. But I'll be honest with you. I'm enjoying this time off so much that I don't know, I really don't know.
We're back to the stress.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, we're gonna have to find a new team, train new people. They're gonna be young. They're gonna think they know everything. They're gonna be, millennials, all this stuff. And always when you hire a new crew, you end up firing almost all of them within the first 3 months. So it's a painful process, I gotta tell you.
So to take you out of this club life, tell me about your movie producer life.
Oh, I mean, that you saw the movie?
I did. 200 pages, right?
200 cartas, 200 letters. Yeah. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy tries to find girl and writes 200 letters to every Maria Sanchez to find her in Puerto Rico. And it
was this guy
Manuel Miranda. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's his first movie. So that movie came to me. How I got into business is kind of funny. So at the time, Que Pollitas was the #1 movie 2 times in a row, right? You can knock it, but it's sold, right? And my girlfriend at the time was Mayra Matos, and she was trying to get into TV and television, all that stuff. But everybody can criticize and say at the time, movies were not classy, or high quality, you know, the local ones, and TV the same way, you know, that type of stuff. And I'm always that type that says, you know, don't complain, do something about it. And, you know, she kind of said, you know, that's easier said than done. And I was like, okay, I'll make a movie. I'll make a movie that's classy, not a lot of curse words or whatever, all that stuff. And then it's going to be a hit. And I just challenged myself, and I went to the film commission. I said, hey, I want to do a movie. Tell me about the tax credits. Tell me what's going, you know, what we can do. And then they said, well, the truth is we have 3 scripts that come with a budget, so you don't have to put all the money. And here's the directors, and here's the script. And I looked at the 3 scripts. I liked the one, 200 Cartas. I met with him. It was a 3-month relationship of how, you know, it's Bruno Irizarry. And he talked like a director, producer. It was his first movie. It was scary. But, you know, I asked him every question. He answered that, you know, beautifully. And then we made that movie, and it's a pretty magical movie for everything that went wrong during that movie.
More
I remember.
or less?
¿Cómo?
What was it, Gandhi?
More stressful than nightlife or less? The movie industry.
So for him, it was more stressful because he didn't include me. We had the union strike on us, not even, you know, the film union, and for no reason. You know, it didn't have to be a union movie, but they swiped us or whatever, you know, and they just strike to get an extra 50,000. But it was stressful because, you know, Puerto Rico is a beautiful island, and you shoot. When you shoot, you have to shoot 23 days straight. You know, like you have every day on a schedule. Every day you go by, it, depending on your budget, could be 20,000 in Hollywood, could be $1 million. You know, so those filming days, every day that you miss costs a lot of money. So that strike costs a lot of money. But worse was, every day we were filming beach scenes and mountain scenes and the beauty of Puerto Rico, it was raining. So we had to catch the scene in between clouds. So like, you'll see a lot of stuff that, you know, you might think like, oh, you know, the photography or whatever. No, it was just the only 5 minutes between the rain that we could get some of these shots, you know? And then like, there was a beach scene in the water in Isabella.
That didn't have any water.
Was that?
That didn't have any water.
Exactly. There was a tsunami. No, it was so that sunset scene was actually 6 a.m. because it rained the night before all night, that we couldn't get the sunset scene.
Wow.
And that was like,
did you get to meet Luis Raul or not?
Yeah. He was a friend. Yeah.
Man,
funny guy.
Right?
Rest in peace, man.
Yeah, man.
It was a very nice movie. What year was this? That movie?
We filmed that movie in 2012, I think it was. Yeah, and it came out 2011, and it came out 2012 or 2013.
I remember
it was June 2013. June 2013, if I can remember.
I remember you did. I was working with touring in those years, and you invited me for the premiere, and you did it in Plaza Las Americas, and you had this red carpet, and I really loved the movie. It was very, very nice.
Thank you. And, you know, so the controversy also was, I wanted, so we didn't have a lot of money to advertise, and we didn't have a lot of money to pay the actors, right? So Jaime Camille, who's an established great actor, he did it for SAG rate. Lin-Manuel did it for SAG, and he'd already had that successful In the Heights Broadway play. And then Dianata read for it. You know, there was a few people that read for that part. Someone else had it, and I brought her in last minute. And I said, Bruno, it's my friend, but and if you can make her work, great. If you can't, I trust your opinion. But you know, she gets a lot of press here. So if you can work it out with her and make it work, I tell you, you know, I can turn around the market. We can get our marketing dollar worth with her in it. And she did a great job. I thought that was her best movie yet.
You also have Iris Chacon in the crew.
Yeah. We tried to pull out like little cameos with everybody, you know.
It was a cool movie. It was a funny movie. I loved it.
Romantic comedy.
I'll be honest with you. When I went into it with it was measured expectations, right? Because I was like, it's low budget, blah, blah, blah. And you told me, Leo, you have to see my movie, right? And then I remember you offered me, you said, I'll even pay for it. You go and whatever. So I ended up going, and I sent you a picture with like the popcorn and the things and the tickets. And then the next time I saw you, gave me $20. But anyway, and I would have paid.
I did.
It was funny, but I actually would have seen.
I
would have
took it.
I did take it. I did. Hey, you weren't that easy to get money from. Anyway, that's a different story. But the point is, I actually really, really enjoyed it. It was really fun. Like one of the better one of the better Puerto Rican made movies that I've ever seen.
It currently has a 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb, and for a low budget,
that's great.
That's a great rating.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. And I think what was the name of the actor? You said the guy who plays Lin-Manuel's friend. He was so great in that. That guy is so funny. Yeah. Oh my God, he stole that movie. He was like the best part, and Lin-Manuel was good too. But you could tell he wasn't. I think his acting, I mean, maybe for filming, like whatever. He's obviously a brilliant stage person and writer and performer. And the movie,
his character was the straight guy, like the serious straight guy. That was his character, and then Jaime was the goof,
And it was so good, though. Yeah, but it worked really well. By the way, so what's I think Pablo's probably going to go to this. When is your next film project? What's going on?
Exactly. Now that we're in the pandemic and that you have all this free time, making a movie now or a series will be a little bit more easier, I guess. So, what's your next movie project soon, or if you have
if you have any?
So I mean. So I'm an associate producer on Yerba Buena. I don't know if you saw that. That's really a funny, good movie. That was with Carla Monroy, Tommy's wife. She did a great job.
At the beginning of the pandemic.
So that came out at the beginning of the pandemic. It was the #1 selling movie, and then it just whatever. And that was like after Maria, the script. So there's some funny stuff that you can relate to from Maria. And then there's a TV series by Jesse Terrero called Bravas, about 4 girls who work in Brava. Wisin plays me, like the
Wisin from Wisin Yandel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, he plays the owner's son, right, or something.
Yeah, I'd rather say he plays me than that guy that's the real.
This is out? This came out already?
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. It's free on YouTube.
Oh, nice. I will have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Nati Natasha in there. You got like a lot of, Liano plays, I think, one of the leads. So,
So how do you feel name dropping all these new trap artists? Like they're your friends and shit like that.
That's just my life, man. It's just like people that
like name dropping,
Wait, Shimmy, you want to name drop, and you want to. Jimmy's gonna love this story. This is like shows the extent of his pull and the height of his powers. I remember the night we had. I think Nick Cannon DJ'd at the club, and all these celebrities came out who were here. And we had Nick Lachey at the time and whatever. And then we had Michael Buffer. So Michael Buffer, the guy who does the Let's Get Ready to Rumble, who gets paid, what was it, $1 million every time he says this phrase?
Oh, yeah. If he gets on the microphone at a fight, he's like, for the millions around the world, he gets paid big money for that.
Exactly. And what happened? And what happened?
Going in my pocket right now.
Hold on. And what happened at prime time? If you want to tell the story, you go right ahead. But that was probably one of the most epic moments at the club that I ever had.
Yeah. So this is what happened. So we had a table. We had like table 1 with Nick Cannon, and he was dating that Victoria's Secret model at the time. And then Michael Buffer just left a fight, I guess, in Choli, I think Roberto Clemente, and he came and he was at the table. Michelle Rodriguez was there. We're all just like having fun. And then it was my publicist's birthday. And they said, hey man, Michael, could you just say that? He's like, listen, no, I get paid a lot of money to do this. I just don't do that or whatever. So this is so wrong, but we did it. And I think Leo was a part of it. So basically, I don't know who was on the microphone first. I don't know if it was Nick or Leo or
Nick.
something.
Or maybe Jairo. Maybe Jairo.
No, I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure it was Nick. It was Nick on the mic.
So Nick didn't know that Michael wasn't going to say it, but we didn't tell Nick. So we were like, Nick, as soon as you finish, give the microphone to Mike, and he's going to do the let's get ready to rumble thing, right? And so Nick's like this, gives him the microphone, and then the spotlight's on Michael Buffer and all this other shit, and he's just like grabs it and does it.
And he did ladies and gentlemen, Brava, let's get. Oh my god, it was one of those goosebumps moments. I swear to God, it was like because
you're gonna have to dig to see if there's like a video or something of it.
Exactly. There's no, you didn't record it, right?
Nah, those weren't the Facebook days.
Oh man, it's a long time ago. But that I still like just thinking about it, I get goosebumps because it was so much energy. It was so everybody was going.
It would have been amazing if you could have sampled it.
The club went insane.
But you could be sued by Michael Buffer, and that would be a whole.
When that guy got on the microphone and you hear his voice, everybody knows that voice, and the club just went ape shit. It was ridiculous. It was so good.
Also, that's where the word ape shit comes from.
I mean, I don't know, but you know what's funny because like that's just one example. But there were so if you want to go in this direction, Shimmy loves this because he gets to show off. Favorite celebrity encounters, Shimmy?
I was going to ask that, but yeah.
Well, then I stole your thunder. I mean, because there's a ton of them. I mean, you have so much to pick from.
I mean, obviously Jay and Beyonce,
You know what? You know what's fucked up? I remember that day they came in. I worked we got them in through the side door of the club. And they were with Christina Ali or something like that. She was a hip hop singer in that time that was huge.
Christina
Milian, yeah, that girl. She was like a short. And they were all to the greenhouse in the second floor, and we got them what they wanted, but they left like quick. They were there like for half.
She wanted salsa. So Beyonce went to me and said, "Hey, you don't play no salsa?" Like right next to me, right? And I was like, wow, her breath is so good. Did she just eat a mint or something?
That's a good one.
But I was like, no, don't.
So Jimmy, you've done movies, clubs, restaurants,
events.
You've done pretty much everything. So why is it? Is there like an ambition or a drive to have all these clubs and venues? Because a lot of times you had a lot of this stuff going on at the same time.
I mean, so at one point in my life, I just loved it. I lived for it. I lived for that club energy and all that stuff, I still like it, I don't like doing restaurants. I know that. So I don't count on me doing I have one restaurant concept I'm probably going to do, but I'm not going to be the one doing the day-to-day. So, but there's something about that club energy that's just like so cool when you do it right. But I needed this. This COVID thing was a nice needed break, to relax. And I think probably I'll get back into it and go really hard the next time around, or I won't do it. And I'm debating it, to be honest with you, at this moment.
How many clubs did you own at a point?
At the same time or over my lifetime?
Since we're speaking about the drive and all that ambition,
running at the same time, I'm guessing.
At the same time, I think the most I had was 3. Mm-hmm. It would be Brava, Ibiza, Red, and Area 51 I don't think coincided.
No, it came a year later.
But then
was St. Mix open? Was St. Mix
open? Then you had some mix, right?
Yeah, but that's not a club though. That wouldn't.
No, but it's still for nightlife.
As far as venue, as far as as far as a venue, you.
So it would have been 4 then.
Yeah, that would have been 4. Then Pier 10 came in somewhere in there. And I
The
think those
Reebok.
mixed show power summits were pretty impressive, you know. I think you don't remember those?
I remember the fights
Yeah.
that you had there.
I
Those
remember
events.
50 Cent and Eminem. They won.
And I remember at Pier 10, I remember JC singing in Shimmy McHugh's birthday.
So the only clubs you didn't own, because all the clubs you're saying
The beer
I've been
song,
to.
right? That was
But,
the beer song.
The beer song. Una birra.
But the only clubs you didn't own were Laser, Hollywood, those clubs you never had. Egypt, Asylum, no, nothing of that. Scratch.
Bueno, I
No.
I have a question for you. From all of those clubs and restaurants and
Nelson, by the way, Nelson woke up right now.
I was here all the time.
He was
Second
there
part
all the-
starts now.
He was below you all the time.
No. From all of those, Cafe Atlántico, Ibiza, Red, from all of those places, even Brava or whatever, which one was for you the, like the dream come true? I know all of them got their magic and were happened and were different
Wow.
stages of your life, but
I would probably say Brava. Brava is the one that I'm most fond of. Probably, remember when we did Ibiza and Red, we didn't make money. It was fun, but we just didn't make money. And every day, there was the reality of why do we have so many people, so many sales, and we owe more money, But yeah, Bravo would be probably the one because it just was so better organized and iconic,
Yeah. And the resident DJ was so good.
I think Brava was
the first one, the
So
first one,
humble.
the thing
the
is
first
that
one.
I think it was because also it was it was part of a team also. We work. I think in the company, I feel the privilege that I could have you of all the managers. I had most of your attention all the time because I used to work hand to hand, whatever, however you say it. hand to hand. Okay.
Mano a mano.
So I remember, like all the others, I think that some of these managers got jealous after a little bit because I used to always have like, oh, you always have Chim extension. I used to, from when I started being a manager, I remember that year, I started working like shift as a bar manager. And then because I was like not competing, I was working with Rafi Martinez, but Rafi Martinez didn't know English. And he was scared of talking to you. So I became the manager. I did a downgrade because I used to earn more as a DJ, but it was a good downgrade because we did like, that's when we started mounting like the good, like the team, like the management team. That's where we started doing the inventory. We all learned about doing the inventory. And it, that's where the money started showing. So I think it was, that's why in the other places were more like San Mix was cool, but it's like
that's basically when you got the right people together and everything was cohesive, then the money started coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you were talking about how some of the original club goers grew up and grew out of the club scene, and then that you didn't want to go into the restaurant scene because that was your interest.
Cup of tea.
And then obviously with all that comes generational changes, like the group of people that come in and come and go from the club. So how has it all changed in the past, let's say 10 years, the whole club scene?
So I think we managed the changes pretty well, but I think after Maria, there was such a cultural shift in Puerto Rico and the tourists, and then you're closed for a whole year. I just noticed immediately that people didn't dress up anymore after Maria. People just really aren't dressing up.
We used to go to like Placita style, like that, like very, very tropical, like
Casual.
So, but we were always the place where people would go to dress up and get pretty and stuff like that. So that's something that, like this time around, we have to really manage it, and allow like urban wear has become more of a fashion, so we, allowing that too. But, and then, the hardest thing is, I don't love social media, but that's just an essential part of,
That's right.
of everything. And, it's hard for me to like, it's pain. It's, like to show my life or personal things in my life and stuff like that, which is what people want to see. I have trouble doing that. Like, I just want to do funny stuff, or if I'm going to some place that's so freaking cool, I forget to put it on social media because I'm like into the whole place, so
you can contact someone that can manage that though.
no, I mean, like, I'll go to some really cool parties or events and stuff like that, and then after I was like, oh shoot, I should have recorded this or that, and I have nothing to show for it, just my memory.
That's what I mean. Like, you can contract someone like to manage that, like to manage that part of your life, like your social media. I mean, we're not talking with some stranger. You are Shimmy, the one that brought what the discotheque are in Puerto Rico today. Everyone's know who Shimmy is. Even I was working for you. You don't even know that I work for you. So it's a privilege just to say that I did work in Brava for you, and
yeah, but some people are just not social media people.
No, but also I think there's something to be, there's a lot of value there where Jimmy, what you're saying is you're actually being mindful of your experiences. You're actually enjoying the things you're doing. You're there at a cool party and you're not on social media because you're enjoying the actual thing you're there, which has been a problem social media has been a problem for nightclubs in general and for nightlife in general, because people are so obsessed with sharing that they're not actually partying, that they're not actually
that's
being
true. People go sometimes people go to concerts and events and they're all the time taping it. So I don't feel they're enjoying it. They're just posting it. So
you'll be on the dance floor tables with a group of girls and all they're doing is this, like this all day long, and you're wondering if they're having fun, and they never did anything but that.
I feel you can do that, but let's say 2 minutes, but you can't do that for a whole hour. That's when it gets kind of
like maybe at the beginning and then halfway.
No, I've seen girls do it all night long.
No, I know, Jimmy. I've seen
it. We know.
So Jimmy, now that you said about restaurants, we know who. Okay, let me put it this way: who talked to you about opening Jimmy's restaurant in San Juan? That I think that was not a good idea.
Paseo Caribe.
Paseo Caribe, yeah. Who talked to you about that? Like, why?
I mean, they made me an offer. The landlords at that time. The place was beautiful and it's pretty much already done. But let me tell you what the whole miss that happened. So like, it was going to be a sports betting bar. So we had, Shea Julio was working to get that law passed. The law passed, but still the regulations haven't passed. But we were going to, have a really sexy bar with high rollers, beautiful waitresses, all this stuff, and you would be betting on sports, and it would be like this guy's type of place, something really cool. And sports betting is very lucrative, but the law, what we thought was going to get passed in 3 months, and we would have the thing. You're talking 2 or 3 years later, and it still hasn't come to fruition.
It's still pending.
Still pending.
Che Julio moved, right?
I don't know.
So Jimmy,
yep.
We're going to start wrapping this up, but we have a couple of more questions for you. And one of them I want to ask you is, you've traveled quite a bit, right? You've been fortunate as a successful businessman, entrepreneur, to be able to travel around the world. What are your favorite places? I mean, obviously, besides, you can mention Puerto Rico if you want, but favorite places to travel to, vacation. What are some of your exotic locales, maybe?
I love the Dominican Republic. I just love it. You know, I think the people are great. You know, they really, they do the, I mean, X-Men can tell you, they do the restaurants well, they do the food well. You know, like everybody's buying bottles and enjoying that. I find the people really classy, you know, that whole, you know, upper class of Dominican Republic.
Jimmy, that now that you
Uh-huh.
mentioned Dominican Republic, you never thought of venturing into that market?
That's my place to go for fun, and I'm never gonna open a business
Keep
there.
it,
or
keep it that
anything.
way. Keep it that way.
So,
You know.
It's
Another
better to be a
question-
big fish.
It's one thing to be ambitious and one thing to be overly ambitious.
He's a big fish in a little pond. Leave it like that.
another question that I have for you. I do remember that you have a bulletproof car. You remember that?
Yeah.
So in that line, I know it was fun because I used to drive it. I drive it. So let me put it that way. I drive you to a place. I don't want to talk about that, but the thing is, what's your favorite car?
What's the what?
Your favorite car. Favorite car.
I think we cut out.
What's your
favorite
Car.
What's your favorite car?
Automobile.
So, you know, like my favorite car is the car I have now. To be honest
You
with
have the
you.
Mercedes with the bulletproof?
No, I have a Maserati now, to be honest with you.
All right.
And the way I got it was you know, I wasn't thinking about getting that car, to be honest with you. So where Shimmy's was, the sports bar is across from Vicente's place, that exotic car dealership. And then we were at an event, and it was like an all-day event, and I walk over and Vicente is like, hey, can you help me move some cars or whatever? And I was like, you're not gonna get me to buy a car, but sure, I'll move the car for you, right? And then I started up and it goes, oh, like whatever. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, yeah, you like that, right? I was like, I'm not gonna buy this car. He's like, no, I'm gonna get you financing, whatever. As a Vicente, I'm not gonna buy that car. I'm just telling you, it's not my style. You know, I'm not like that showy or whatever. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. You know, cool. He's like, and then, and I was like, so where do you want me to park the car? He's like, park it at your house. Take it home for the weekend, he said, basically.
The way to sell you the car.
He
So I was
did.
like, you know what? I'll take it home for the weekend. Yeah, okay.
And the weekend turned to a week.
He had me in that car for 2 months. 2 months. He forgot or something. He got caught up. He's like, dude, you gonna buy the car or whatever? And I was like, you know, yeah, maybe, but you know, I don't know. He's like, yeah, keep thinking about it. Dude, I'm telling you, like 2.5 months. And then by the time he called me, he was like, oh, dude, I need the car back. I think somebody wants it. I was like, but the car loves me now. I mean, like, we're like friends. You can't take her away.
So basically, it was like taking a puppy and you don't want to give it back. You want to with the foster, and
I mean, that's the nicest car I had. And I, you know, like, it's one of those things that you're like, at this point in my life, I don't want a girl to like me because I own a club or anything like that, or I have a nice car or this or that. But boy, is it easy to get a girl in a Maserati, because you drive down the street and you ask for directions and they're like, oh, you can just go here. Can we come with you?
Yeah. But it's a sports car or something like that, or it's like a 4-door?
I got the SUV.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
Shimmy, to wrap it up, what are your plans post-COVID when everything is, up for business again?
So, I mean, I'll tell you, I'll give you a little background. I can't give details right now, but if I have something, a multi-venue idea here that I hope goes through. So Foxwood Casinos is going to open up in the El San Juan Hotel, and I help facilitate that deal. Foxwood, is probably one of the most successful Indian-run casinos in the tri-state area. So you're going to see the hotel get a huge kick. But this time around, if I build a team and stuff, I want to do it bigger. So I'd like to have a few venues if I'm going to do one, and that's where I'll leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah. So for Puerto Rico, that's pretty much.
So
where
she
I'll
be
leave.
coming back bigger, better, and stronger.
Yeah, if I come back, there's a chance that I won't come back.
So put an
You're
asterisk.
too good right now. Right?
There's a chance you'll see Uber Maserati.
Hey, it's an easy job. I do Uber here. I do Uber Eats here in Orlando, and it's easy money. No stress.
I like it.
You choose your own hours.
I think I talk about from all of us that if you ever need one of us, we are here for you. We'll always be here for
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
We always got your back,
Jorge,
even though you
yeah,
don't know us.
Jorge said he was willing to dust off his suit and everything to go back to the club managing scene. Nelson said he was going to put his nice.
I dust them. I have to throw them out because they were full of roaches already. So.
Nelson said he was going to dust off the old LPs and everything. Everybody's going back into the club scene for sure. But put an asterisk to it.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So, but by April, if the stars align, I'll come back and let everybody know through your podcast.
I appreciate it. I really do. So again, we appreciate you taking your time and the disposition to talk to us today. I know you're a fairly busy man, so we appreciate the time. I want to thank Jorge, Pablo, Gandhi, Nelson, and Leo.
I'm getting PUA, so I mean, I'm not busy anymore if you want to ask me more questions.
Okay. So you're like,
so you're sleeping late tomorrow.
Dude, I'm doing nothing.
No, but personally for me, Shimmy, thank you. I'm glad I got to finally meet the man.
Thank you.
Seriously, for me, it's such an honor. You don't know like how much this means to me because you asked me, we were bartenders, and you are like a sample to follow for me. So thank you for being this, and let me know about you. You know,
the man, the legend,
the man, the legend, Shimmy McHugh. Everybody, thanks for listening to Behind the Entertainment. We will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Estás escuchando Behind the Entertainment.